Happy Monday. Happy Aliveness Monday. Meditation time. As we are moving into this new week, it is promising to be a very exciting week for many of us. And much is happening globally and in our personal lives. So I hope you all are taking care of yourself, taking care of your intake of information, taking care of how you respond, taking care of how you might be reacting to everything that is happening around you. And thank you so much for tuning in for our short 30-minute mindfulness session. Thank you, friends on Instagram. I see Nancy, I see Anastasia. Thanks so much for being here. Let's take a second to make sure that we have possible things that we might want for this session of mindfulness and these tips for mindfulness. Today we will work a little bit more with some techniques that help us to nourish our nervous system. And specifically for today, we will work with the senses, with the sense of smell specifically, and with the sense of touch, as we always do. With the sense of smell, I encourage you to maybe find out your favorite essential oil. For me, I have always handy lavender oil, something that is always good to have around. And so we'll use that. So if you have some essential oil somewhere around, find it and have it ready, and we'll use it in a moment. All right, so since it's exactly 11 AST or 12 o'clock, I'm sure people who wanted to be here are already here. Feel free to share this. Feel free to share this tips and techniques mindfulness with your friends. And of course, practice them yourself for this whole entire week ahead of you. So let's chat a little bit about nervous system, what our nervous system is. And of course, we can look into some incredible physiological and medical anatomical terms of what nervous system is. I usually see nervous system as our software, as a software that supports our hardware, as our body. And just like any software needs proper maintenance, needs regular updates and rebooting and restarting. And so mindfulness and meditation provides us with opportunities to reboot, to restart, to get us on a fresher start. And so using Mondays are a great time to reboot and restart. And to also check in with your plans and your goals and your intention for the week ahead. Also, since we are halfway through the month of January, a little bit more than a half month, I also invite you to check in with the rest of your intentions for this for the upcoming year and how you maybe carry on with those. And in order to sort of keep your goals and your intentions streaming and coming on a steady pace, it's important to constantly take care of your nervous system so that you are full of energy and you're not burnt out. So one thing that we are going to do today, as always, we shall work a little bit with our physical body, and through our physical body we will go and dive into our mind and then dive into our breath, of course. So with the physical practice today, as I mentioned before, we will use a little bit of essential oil, something that I do quite often on the days when maybe I feel, when I wake up and I do my mindfulness practice and I feel a little bit low on energy, or maybe I didn't sleep so well, or maybe I feel somewhat tired. I do this simple practice that energizes my senses and helps me to wake up. And also reminds me of beauty that we can experience through our senses. So specifically sense of smell. So just putting few drops of your favorite essential oil onto your palm. Few drops goes a long way. So take it easy, especially if it's any strong oil. You want to be very particular how much you put. So start with 1 drop. It's always a good way to begin. And then you give your hands a really nice rub and keep your hands close to your face as you do this little rub, activating also your life force energy, your bioplasmic energy in your hands. And as you're doing this rub, you can also take a few deep breaths. So the heat of your hands will activate the scent of the essential oil that you are applying. So you take a deep, nice breath through your nose maybe, and notice how this sense is filling up your being, how the sense is nurturing your nervous system. So specifically, lavender oil is very nourishing. It's very supporting for our nervous system, for our software. Then after I do this, I open my palms and I place my hands close to my face. And I take a moment to sense the energy or the heat of my hands radiating onto my face. And this is also Qigong practice, washing your face energetically with your hands. Without touching your face, you simply take your hands in a circular movement around your face. It's also a beautiful way to visualize your face as you do this, with your eyes open or with your eyes closed. And as you're doing this practice, imagine that you're looking at your own face from outside, like somebody else is looking at you. And how would you want your face to be? How would you want your face to show up? Right? Maybe put in a gentle smile from your heart onto your face, relaxing your facial muscles. And you can also visualize and think that you are washing your face energetically. You're washing each single pore of your face, so clearing out all type of energetic dirt out from your eyes, out from your face, out from your mouth and jaw, your ears as well. And then take this movement into the opposite direction. Up to you how many times you want to circle around your face. There's no magic number. Maybe there is. I just invite you to pick your own magic number. And then stop for a moment and enjoy experiencing your own hands, the energy of your own hands are covering energetically your face. And then take a few deep breaths and let your hands to just relax and melt down to your legs. So this is the practice that is inspired by Qigong. There's also similar technique that is in Reiki, the hand healing practices that helps us to energize our face, energize our eyes, especially since these are the organs that take in information from the world, and there's a lot of information right now. So we want to constantly keep our face, keep our eyes, keep our nose, keep our mouth and ears cleansed of the information. As we take a moment to relax into our physicality through this energetic touch of our face, the breathing technique for today is going to be Ujjayi breathing. And you, my yogic practitioners, might very well be familiar with this yogic type of breath. Ujjayi, also known as ocean breathing or victorious breathing. I like that much better because it's very much in sync with Martin Luther King Day, and being and feeling the strength and victorious sense of justice. So practicing the victorious Ujjayi breathing is very centering technique. Also helps us to tap into our core, into our physical abdominal strength. So Ujjayi breath is rather simple. you simply take in inhalation through your nose, and you would first imagine breathing out through your open mouth. So if I inhale through my nose, I then imagine fogging up mirror. So I have this very strong hissing sound, ocean sound that is coming up from my throat. So now instead of keeping my throat open, I'm going to keep my mouth closed. So I take deep breath in into my nose, keep my mouth closed, and through my closed glottis, I let the sound out like very strong, centering, core activating type of breath. You can use your hand, you can use no hand to have that sensory feedback of your breath. And it's great to do this for about 10 repetitions. Coming back to our senses, this type of breath, since it's very audible, it makes you hear your breathing. So it makes you connect to your own breathing in a stronger way, because you can actually hear how you breathe, how you project this energy of your own breathing. So together with this activation of our smell sense and our hearing sense of hearing of our own breath, we should be pretty well centered and within our body, very much embodied and ready to move into our next practice for today. And next practice will be our focus attention practice. And that will include today this really first practice that I learned on my very first retreat in Thailand, 10 days of silent meditation retreat. That was brutal, especially when you're 20. So at least one thing that I've learned from that retreat is the richness of our thought and our mental landscape. And this specific practice is called naming or labeling. It depends what's the most exciting way for you to call this practice. So naming our thoughts or naming our experiences as we're meditating. So as we took a moment to center into our breath, maybe practice through Ujjayi breaths, and felt your full body relaxing from part to part, from your feet to your knees, to your hips, to your abdomen, to your shoulders, to your neck, to your face, relaxing your eyes, and then closing your eyes and observing what is happening within our body, what is happening within our mind. It's also helpful to separate a little bit what's happening within our body and to acknowledge that. And usually that naming, that labeling is happening 3 times. So let's say I'm meditating in the morning, I set up my timer for 3 minutes of my mindfulness, and as I sit and I relax and I tune into my body and I acknowledge what my body is feeling. I might feel ease, ease, ease. And as I sit, I might then face discomfort. And so I acknowledge that discomfort and I say discomfort, discomfort, discomfort in my mind, of course, 3 times. And every time you label, every time you acknowledge that sense or that feeling, notice what type of magic might be happening. You might notice that sensation, that feeling that you've been carrying around simply disappearing with you acknowledging it. So let's try this for exactly 3 minutes and just relax together for a little bit. Making sure that our facial muscles are soft and relaxed. And with your eyes closed or open, simply acknowledge what is showing up for you on a physical level first, before we dive into the richness of our mind. Acknowledge that 3 times with respect, no judgment, simply acknowledging, telling your body that you are paying attention to what is happening within your physicality, what is happening within your body. And one of, I guess, how I got convinced that this practice working really well, especially on the physical level, is that within that first time that I experienced this practice, a long time ago, I guess more than, I don't know, 15 years ago, I remember sitting in meditation, in deep relaxation, and having the impulse to sneeze. And as a lot of you might know, that sneezing is really hard to control. It's like when you want to sneeze, it's just coming in and you just sneeze. That's it. It just happens. So when I felt sneezing coming up, especially in a deep meditating hole like everybody else is meditating, you don't really want to make any noises to disturb people. And I remember simply acknowledging the sensation that was coming up, sneezing, sneezing, sneezing. And I was amazed that the sneeze was gone. I didn't want to sneeze anymore. It just kind of disappeared. So here is simple magic of labeling or naming your physical sensations. It also helps us to harness our attention, to harness our awareness of what we are feeling. And of course, this also applies on our emotional and mental practice. There is more complexity to our emotional states. So what I recommend us all to do is to be very simple with how you label your emotions, so how you label your feelings. The simpler your labeling of your emotion is, the easier, the more flowy, the more effective is the practice. The easier it is to let go of what you are experiencing. So let's take one of those tricky sensations of anxiety. And anxiety, you just might sit in, relax, and just acknowledge if there is anxiety. Say anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. And notice maybe then for just a second, you might be experiencing some ease and some kindness or some compassion. So acknowledge compassion 3 times as well to get yourself know that you are actually experiencing all spectrum of good and great and not so good and great. And that sort of stabilizes and creates baseline for our emotional field. There's a lot of times as we go through the motion of everyday life reality, we forget the baseline of how we feel and what we are able to experience in our emotions and our feelings. Yes. There is important thought with labeling that I would like to acknowledge. And so that's how I am acknowledging, remembering. When you're trying to remember something in your meditation, you just say remember, and then you simply let it go and let the flow happen. So I invite you to experiment with labeling practice for this upcoming week ahead. I think we will have, as always, we have many opportunities to label our own thoughts and our own reactions first before we go in and create a response to any situations that are around us. So I definitely invite us to first take a second, take a breath, take an Ujjayi breath, the victorious way, ocean breathing, and acknowledge that what you are feeling. And so here I remembered what I wanted to say. I wanted to also mention that for nourishment of our nervous system, what is important and what we are understanding now is that acute stress is this kind of silent killer of our health. Acute stress is the stress that we experience regularly on everyday basis. It could be stress that you don't even acknowledge in your life, but it's there, and it sort of takes out the life force, or takes out your energy and takes out your resources. So with labeling, what's important, the more you do this practice, the more you become aware of the acute stresses in your daily life, from these little things that make you agitated, that make you um, tired in a way, right? Because the more you experience them without noticing them, you will notice how this is actually makes you tired over the time. So yeah, labeling, we go, acknowledging what we are feeling. So as you are experiencing labeling, let me know what you're labeling here in the stream, how you're labeling what you're feeling right now, please, as I get a chance to scroll through all the comments. Okay. All right, there's some hilarious comments I see, just really, really funny. Okay, thank you for being here. Jeffrey, amazing. Thanks so much for being Jeffrey. Kathleen Murakami. Elena, thanks so much for being here. Rocky, Lawrence, Bobby, thank you for being here. Also got a few friends on social media on Instagram. That is always great to see all of you. And yes, happy mindful practices. Be mindful this upcoming week ahead of us. I also would like to remind you that I'm doing this sort of ongoing retreat where I look at one description of a gene key. And if you're not sure what gene keys are or what this is all about, feel free to look at my YouTube channel. There are some descriptions of what gene keys are, and the description of 2 past weeks. So every week I take up one gene key that sort of reflects maybe the energetical field of what is happening to us personally, but also what is happening to us collectively. As again, bringing back theme of nervous system is sort of looking at ourselves, at our individual lives and our individual beings and bodies as a single individual neuron, simple cell of this big collective field that we are. And so through elevating the frequency of your individual nervous system and through elevating your own software, we are able and helping to elevate the sense of what's happening to all of us collectively. So that's all available on Spotify, Aliveness by Yuri Rocket, and it's also available on my YouTube channel. And this is, of course, also my invitation for you to explore those beautiful descriptions, because they really help us to deal with how we label, what we label, and create broader, richer spectrum of what we are experiencing in our lives and how we're experiencing emotions in that way. And also how we are experiencing other people, how we're relating to experiencing in emotions of others. Also would like to announce that our January, month of January, is slowly coming to an end. So next week will be our last Monday mindfulness practice. I hope you had a chance to learn a few tips. All of this is available on YouTube and also on my Instagram channel and here on Facebook. So all of these practices are there for you to practice. They are very short, little tips, something to do for your body, something to do for your senses, something to do for your breathing, and something to do to your mind. And next Monday, we will have more of an easygoing chit chat of tips, if all of those were techniques of what you can do. Next Monday, we will simply chat about tips, technology, tips on mindfulness, maybe some gadgets that you can use for mindfulness, because since we're living in such an incredible time where we can actually use a lot of tools for our mindfulness practices. And anything that you would like to know about mindfulness. So we'll chat all things meditation and all things mindfulness. So feel free to leave your comment, leave your question here in the chat room, and I will address those questions and comments next Monday. I'm wishing you an incredibly healthy and meaningful and mindful and peaceful week ahead. Remember to take care of your nervous system first, and then, just like on airplane, help others. With gratitude and light, your